Actually, I had been thinking about my marriage even before that photo appeared. Shannon hadn't been herself for 6 weeks. The last few days had been particularly tense, and I was almost certain that her sister Nita was at the center of it all. And then I got the photo. I was out of town on a business trip. This time I had more work than usual. The main air conditioner at Purdue University had broken down, and their technicians couldn't fix it. Fortunately, Fraser HVAC, the company I work for, has two highly skilled engineers who are capable of handling such emergencies. Plus, I was on call that week, so I drove to West Lafayette on Tuesday evening and stayed there until Thursday. Around 9 p.m., we finally got the problem fixed. I had dinner on campus and returned to my hotel room at 10 p.m., completely exhausted. Before going to bed, I sent Shannon a quick message saying that I was going to sleep and would finish testing the system in the morning and head home. I missed my wife and hoped to see her for dinner on Friday. After taking a quick shower and getting ready for bed, I noticed a message from Roland Brutus, my best friend from Fraser. The message read, "Sorry, I took this photo tonight at Casa Ole. Call me if you want to talk," and a photo was attached. At a table for two in a restaurant I knew well, a beautiful couple was sitting. The man and woman were leaning toward each other, their elbows on the table and their hands clasped. They couldn't take their eyes off each other. Unfortunately, that woman was my wife Shannon, and her companion was Eric Chesterton, one of her co-workers at the OGU library. I never liked Eric. He was a bit of a nerdy, pompous guy. But my wife? I certainly didn't suspect that. Yes, I admit I had been worried about us lately because of her strange behavior, but I chalked it up to the influence of her mean sister. It never occurred to me that she could be cheating on me, especially with a jerk like Eric. Feeling that if I just sat there I would get even more angry, I turned off the TV and called Roland. "Hey, Ben," he said sadly. "Sorry to ruin your evening." "Yeah, I'm at a party in West Lafayette," I replied and fell silent. "Damn it, Roland, I think you need to tell me what you saw." "Emily and I went to Casa Ole for dinner. It was a great night, and we were almost done when we saw them. They were on the other side of the restaurant. Emily spotted them first and said, 'Damn, Ro, it can't be. It can't be Shannon, right?' I just stood there for a couple of minutes, not knowing what to do, then I took this picture. I can tell you for sure. They weren't kissing or feeding each other off their plates or anything like that. They were just serious, focused on each other, like in the picture." He sighed. "I'm so sorry, Ben." "Did you and Emily see them leave? Any idea if they left together and where they went?" "We watched the restaurant from the car for a few minutes, but they never showed up. I think their date ran a little late. We ended up just leaving, and I sent you the photo. Sorry we didn't wait for them. Maybe they were just ordering and it took a while, and we have kids, you know." There was silence. I think he didn't know what to say either. Finally, he said, "I know it's awful, buddy. Emily asked me to tell you she's sending you a big hug. She's really mad at Shannon." "You know, so am I. I don't know how I feel yet, but I'm sure in a few hours I'll be spitting up blood." "Are you done at Purdue? When can you get home?" "Yeah, we'll check the system in the morning, then I'll be back. At least I've got 4 hours in the car to cool off and remind myself not to beat her with a wrench." He smiled. I would never hit Shannon, and Roland knew that. "Listen, Emily and I were talking about it. It might be too soon, but if you need a place to stay, we have a guest room. It's yours. You know how much the kids would love to see you." "Thanks, Roland. Man, really thanks. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm thinking about you guys. I just haven't figured everything out yet, you know." We talked quietly for a few more minutes, then I hung up. I turned off the light, lay down, and, to my surprise, fell asleep almost immediately. There's no such thing as a perfect marriage, right? I loved Shannon with all my heart and cared for her as best I could for 7 years. We dated for 3 and were married for 4. But you can always find something to be unhappy about. According to popular books, the 2 main problems in relationships are money and sex. Well, I always thought we were doing well in that department. Neither of us was wasteful, and sex was still as important as it had been in the early months of our relationship. Sure, the initial passion had faded, but even though intimacy had become more routine, less surprising and intense, Shannon still wanted me almost as much as I wanted her. I never felt like she was tired of me or missed what we did in bed. No, it wasn't about money or sex. Our problem had a name. Her name was Nita. She was 35, about 4 years older than Shannon and me, and she was a bossy, arrogant, lying pain in the ass. Her husband, Alex, wasn't exactly a saint either. He was a handsome lawyer who thought he was God's gift to women, but at least I didn't have to see him too often. Strangely enough, part of the problem was that Shannon adored her older sister, and Nita was always hanging around our house. Oh, she was always full of, let's just say advice on how we should be doing things. Oh, Shannon, it would be so much smarter to put the dishes in that cupboard and move the spices here. Ben is still cooking on the gas grill. Charcoal is so much better for the flavor of meat. Girl, that green chair, my favorite chair in the living room, needs to go. It looks like it came from a trailer park. You know what I mean, right? How it annoyed me that Shannon never sent her sister on a long trip. I think it's typical of younger and older sisters, at least sometimes. But the worst thing, and I'll spare you the long list of Nita's other sins, is how she talked about me behind my back. In my presence, she was sickeningly sweet, constantly repeating how lucky Shannon was to have me, how attentive I was, how I could do everything around the house. Poor Alex couldn't even change a light bulb, and so on. But I heard her put me down more than once when she thought they were alone. Once she was drinking coffee with Shannon in our kitchen when I quietly came in through the back door. I had started my morning with a run. "Shannon, baby, you know I love you. But Ben, he's a little rough around the edges. He's not as handsome as Christopher or even Tom. And you had such prospects with them. Plus, he has a college degree, and what does he do? He does what workers do. Honestly, you could do better." I couldn't believe I was listening to this nonsense. We had been married for almost 2 years at that point. Nita trying to convince Shannon to go back to her ex-boyfriends. And one day she literally said the following words: "You're not going to have children with him, are you?" But damn it! 5 minutes later, she was smiling in my face and saying, "Hey, Ben, Shannon and I are just talking about what a great husband you are." Damn it, and as you can imagine, Shannon and I had arguments about this. She would calm me down, but she didn't do anything to stop it. "Honey, Nita's not really that bad. She loves you. You're only hearing one side of the story." "You're not going to have children with him, are you? How can you let her talk to you like that?" I paced around the bedroom in a rage. I seriously thought I was going to lose my mind. "Honey, she's just letting off steam. She loves you. She just likes, I don't know, teasing you. It doesn't mean anything." It was one of the worst fights we ever had. I blurted out some harsh words, ran out of the house, and spent 6 hours with my friend Raphael, a bartender at Bob's Bar. When I finally got home, it was midnight. Shannon was asleep in our bed, turned away from me. In the morning, we barely exchanged good morning and, "Do you want some coffee?" And it went on like that for several days. Of course, our relationship gradually improved. Unfortunately, we never resolved the issue with Nita. And here's what surprised me the most. I knew Shannon loved me, but I couldn't understand why she never once scolded her sister or said anything to her when she behaved that way. All I could do was avoid Nita as much as possible, finding excuses to leave the house when she came over, and talk about her as little as possible with Shannon. As I said, the last few weeks before the trip to West Lafayette were particularly stressful. For some reason, Nita was around more than ever. It seemed like almost every day when I came home from work, she and Shannon were talking in the kitchen for a long time, and for that reason, or some other, my wife became cold and distant toward me. Shannon knew better than to let her sister near me, so I had no idea what was going on. One thing was clear. Whatever was happening was having a profoundly negative effect on our marriage. During that period, Shannon and I were polite and calm with each other. But who wants to be polite with their wife? She seemed guarded, and we had almost no sex. The most Shannon indulged me in during those few weeks was the occasional hug. Finally, the atmosphere in the house became so strange that I almost stopped approaching her. I'm probably not the best person in the world. I'm not good at heart-to-heart talks. Nevertheless, I tried several times to talk to my wife. "Honey, is something bothering you? Do we need to talk?" And other questions of that nature. "Oh, no, everything's fine, just a few problems at work and a couple of little things with Nita. Don't worry about it. Thanks for asking, honey." And a bright fake smile and a kiss on the cheek. That's all I got. This went on for quite a while, and I seriously considered calling Aunt Gwen to talk. She was my mother's younger sister and had helped raise me after my father died and my mother got sick. She lived in Seattle now, but we always talked on the phone a lot. If anyone could help me understand what was going on with Shannon, it was Gwen. I decided to get in touch with her over the weekend after I got back from Purdue. And then Roland sent me the photo. On Friday morning, I managed to forget about it all for a while and focus on work. I needed to test the system, make sure the faulty unit was fixed, and get home as soon as possible. We checked everything. The guys at Purdue invited me out for a quick lunch, and then I headed home. All my questions were obvious, and I agonized over them for 200 miles. Has Shannon already slept with Eric, or are they still in the foreplay stage? What did I do wrong? Does she love him, or is this just a fling with a new guy? And why that guy, of all people? Why an idiot like Eric Chesterfield? Is there a way to put this behind me, or is it over? And was Nita at the center of all this? Maybe pushing her sister? When I returned to the office on Friday afternoon, I didn't have a clear answer to any of these questions, but I knew I wasn't ready to go home and face her. After considering Roland's kind offer to stay in his guest room, I decided it would be better to stay at a nice anonymous motel. There, I ordered a steak and beer and spent one of the loneliest nights of my life. With grim satisfaction, I sent Shannon the most unloving text message I could muster. "Almost done. We'll be home tomorrow." No love or hearts. Just the bare minimum to let her know I wasn't dead. She replied, "Okay, honey. I miss you." Yeah, right, she missed me. What an idiot I was. Around 9:30, tired and angry, I parked on our street and slowly walked past our house, just looking to see if there were any unfamiliar cars nearby. I admit I didn't notice anything unusual. The house was dark except for our bedroom, and as far as I could tell from the curtains, the TV was on. I went back to the motel and went to bed. On Saturday, I got home shortly before noon. What a rush, right? I felt drained. And if yesterday I had been angry, hurt, and full of crazy plans for revenge, like setting the house on fire and just disappearing, now I just wanted it all to be over. To find out what the hell was going on, see what was left of my life, and deal with it so I could move on. Shannon's car wasn't there, and the house was quiet. I went in through the back door, took a shower, got dressed, and then went down to the kitchen to get a drink and a bite to eat. Glancing at the front door, I froze. Our big suitcase was standing right by the door. I walked over and picked it up. It was full. I don't know how long I stood there staring at the door, but suddenly it opened, and Shannon walked in. "Hello, dear," my wife said very quietly in a strange tone. Then Shannon smiled and came over to hug me. A warm, tender hug with a kiss on the cheek. And for some reason I didn't feel like a husband who had been away from home for almost a week, but like a beloved grandmother who had come to visit her granddaughter. I just looked at her, not wanting to scream or get upset. I just wanted to understand what the hell was going on. She took me by the hand and led me back to the kitchen, where we sat down at the table across from each other. "You must be tired, Ben. Have you eaten? Would you like me to make you dinner?" "I'm fine," I said, looking at her face. Suddenly she became serious, leaned toward me, and said, "I need to talk to you, dear, and it's going to be very difficult. But it can't wait. I'm so sorry. She looked at me, waiting for my response, but I remained silent. Finally, she said, "Can I ask you to listen to me calmly? Let me tell you the whole story before you say anything. I know I'm asking a lot, but please?" I nodded. I just wanted it to be over. "Go ahead, hit me, do it, and I'll either bleed to death or I won't." She took a deep breath and said, "It's about Nita. She—" To my surprise, I suddenly exploded. "What does that bitch have to do with this?" "Ben, please!" Shannon exclaimed, panic clearly visible on her face. "Please, you promised! Just listen!" I realized that I was sitting with my fists clenched tightly and tried to calm down a little. Trying to steady my breathing, I slowly stood up, paced around the kitchen a few times, and then sat down again. I tried to breathe evenly. Finally, I said, "Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Go on. I said I'd listen to you, and I will." What difference did it make? If she wanted to start with some unnecessary nonsense about her sister, it meant I'd have to listen to her a little longer. She spoke again, looking at me cautiously. "You know I've been spending a lot of time with her this past month. I could see how it was bothering you. But I couldn't do anything about it. She and her husband were having serious problems. She started suspecting that Alex was cheating on her, and about a month ago she caught him in his own office on his desk with one of his assistants." I just stared at her. I think I felt a little sorry for Nita, but mostly I asked myself one simple question. Why am I listening to this? It was awful. Nita was hurt and angry, not knowing what to do, and Alex kept apologizing, trying to fix everything. He said he would do anything, even go to marriage counseling. And then on Tuesday, she paused, swallowed, and took a deep breath. On Tuesday, she told him to leave. She wanted a divorce, and he beat her up. "What? That bastard? He hit her? Is she okay?" "She was taken to the hospital on Tuesday night. She has a concussion and a broken forearm, plus a bunch of bruises." For a moment, I even forgot about the end of my own marriage. "I'm so sorry, Shannon. That cowardly idiot. I wouldn't wish that on anyone." She leaned forward and took my hand. "Thank you, dear. I know you can't stand him, and your reaction means a lot to me. Now I'm getting to the hardest part." She paused, then continued. "She's being discharged from the hospital on Monday, and she has nowhere to go. Alex is a real bastard and won't let her out of the house even though it belongs to her. I want her to stay here in the guest room for 2 or 3 weeks. I'll take some time off work and take care of her." Seeing that I wasn't responding, she hurried to continue. "I know you don't like her and don't want her around us, but she needs me. She has nowhere to go. Please, Ben, her life is falling apart and I'm her only sister." "Shannon, you're right. She's not my favorite person, but that doesn't matter right now. Of course she can stay with us. Did you really think I would say no?" My wife jumped up, came around the table, and plopped down on my lap, wrapping her arms around my neck. She looked intently into my eyes, her face beaming with happiness. "Oh, thank you, baby, thank you." She kissed me. "It won't be so bad, you'll see. I'll take care of her and we won't get in your way. And I promise I won't let her humiliate you, never again." She was so happy that I couldn't hold back. I pulled her close, buried my face in her shoulder, and almost cried. A moment of weakness, just one moment, and I pulled myself together. I helped her up from my lap and sat her down on a chair, then went to the sink and poured myself a glass of water. I really couldn't wait any longer. "Okay, Shannon, let's move on to the rest of the news, shall we? Let's get this over with, okay?" She looked at me with confusion, and I said quietly, "Really? You won't even be honest with me?" "Honey, I don't understand what you're talking about." "What do you mean, the rest of the news?" I took out my phone, scrolled through my gallery until I found the photo Roland had sent me and shoved it under Shannon's nose. "This, Shannon, you and this jerk." I froze for a second. What was her suitcase doing by the front door? How could she leave when Nita was moving in with us? Before I could finish my thought, she said, "Oh, Ben, it's so sad." "It's about his wife, Carrie. They've only been married 2 years, and she's had a recurrence of breast cancer, and he's just terrified." I stared at her in shock. "So what was the meeting about?" "You see, he really needed to talk to someone about it. Her prognosis is completely unclear right now." She paused and looked at me. "So you thought it was—" "My God, you thought it was a date." "That's a damn accurate description of what I thought. What else could it have been?" I didn't even try to keep my voice down. "And Roland and Emily Bruton got exactly the same impression. They're both ready to kill you." Before I could say or do anything, she threw herself into my arms and hugged me as tightly as she could. "Benjamin Timothy Haggart, you're the only man I've loved, slept with, and thought about for the last 7 years. Eric is my friend and colleague whose wife may be dying. He just wanted to cry on someone's shoulder, and I let him." It was hard to breathe, and not just because she wouldn't let go of me. Then what has been going on between us for the last few weeks? We don't talk. We hardly ever make love. What was that?" "I was just worried about Nita, baby, and I couldn't talk to you about it. You get sick just hearing her name. That's why I had to keep it all inside. I'm sorry I distanced myself from you. I couldn't think about anything but Nita and what that bastard was doing to her." "Okay, I understand, but the suitcase? Your packed suitcase by the front door?" She tilted my head toward her and kissed me for a long time, then looked at me. Her eyes were wet. "I went to Nita's to get some clothes for her. Now she'll have everything she needs for the next few weeks. I knew Alex would be too cowardly to stop me." "Baby, I'm so sorry God, you've had that photo since Thursday? You must have been going crazy." Without letting go of my hand, she pulled me toward the stairs. "We have to do something right now." We rushed into the bedroom, practically naked. Kisses, tears, hugs, and then intimacy. We lay there, sleepy, touching each other and talking quietly. "Are you really—" "I mean Eric." Her voice was soft and gentle, teasing. "You saw the photo, baby. Ro and Emily came to the same conclusions. You see, yes, it's terrible that his wife has cancer, but I thought my marriage was over. I think one cheater in the family is more than enough," she said quietly. Poor Nita. Damn it, if anything had changed after all that. I mean Nita. She was literally a different person. Though I guess that's not surprising considering what she'd been through. But she was so damn grateful to us for taking her in, and she was always telling Shannon how great my wife was. And she said the same thing about me. Yeah. She apologized to me a million times, saying she was wrong, that she completely underestimated me, etc., although she still tried to give Shannon advice, but now only on housekeeping. She even cooked a little and did some housework when she was feeling better. Then, when she found herself a bulldog lawyer who really got to Alex, she got access to money and found herself a nice apartment while their divorce was still going on. She and Shannon still see each other and spend a lot of time together, but at least we're back to just the two of us in our house, and I especially like this part. Just Shannon and me. It's almost like a second honeymoon. We've both come to appreciate what we have more, and we care deeply about each other. I guess there's nothing like seeing someone else's marriage fall apart to help you appreciate your own. And then there's trust. As strange as it may sound after the photo incident, I really started to trust my wife. Sure, I can get jealous of other men, but we can always talk about it. So now we smile a lot more and have a lot more sex. I just can't get enough of her, and I think she feels the same way. It's like we're back at the beginning of our relationship, only better, because now we know each other so well. We've had a lot of practice, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah. 4 months later, we found out that Eric's wife was going to be okay. The guy's still a big softy, but I'm happy for them.